First Super Hoop games shipped. Ryan McQuaid joins American Pinball. Fathom Revisited in production.
Hi, my name is Joosten, and I'm the editor of Pinball Magazine. And I'm joined here with...
I'm Martin Ayub, and I'm the editor of Pinball News, and we're here to look back at all the exciting events that happened in the month of April 2022 in the world of pinball.
Right.
And of course, at the beginning of these pincasts, we always say what an exciting month it's been, and how action-packed it was.
Well, this month it wasn't.
Yeah, let's be honest, it wasn't the most exciting of months.
That's what I said.
But we've got something to report, so please stick with us, because we've got some...
we got 2 hours of no news for you.
Yes, that's right, but we'll pad it out the best we can. No, we won't. No, there is a lot happened, it's just none of it was particularly dramatic, that was all. But let's get on with it then, and let's start with our first headline, I suppose, which was...
Super Hoop games shipping from Bitronic in Spain.
Yeah,
yes, we're starting with news from overseas, people. Yes.
Unless you're in Spain, in which case it's not.
Yes. So, last month, my apologies, I forgot or I left out Quetzal Pinball and Bitronic from our monthly PINcast, or review of whatever happened. And I got an email from Antonio Orturo from Quetzal Pinball, basically telling me like, "Oh, how could you have missed all the news?"
Yes,
I'm sorry, I should say that in the Spanish accent. How could you have missed all that?
No, I wouldn't if I were you.
Sorry, couldn't resist. I have terrible jokes. I apologize for that.
I'm sure no offence was taken.
Let's hope so. So, no, there was actually this month there was an unboxing video of Super Hoop. Posted by and I forgot the name of the channel.
Okay.
Right. Retro Ocho or something like that. But anyway, if you're a subscriber to the Pinball Magazine newsletter, there will be a link in there so you can watch it anyway. And else you just have to Google it, I suppose. Yeah,
if you go to YouTube and look for Super Hoop unboxing video, I'm sure you'll find it.
Yes, exactly. So, and what's interesting, especially in the in that video, as you will see, the back box opens up, hinged at the bottom, and it folds open like how do you say, like a motor hood or something like that. But instead of going up, it actually comes down.
Right. Okay. So the back glass is hinged at the bottom and folds onto the playfield.
Yes. But not all the way, because it's being stopped. And there's something to stop it. And so the news that I'm reading out loud now is actually the news from last month. Bitronic had a stand at the International Gaming and Gambling Trade Show, which was held in Madrid on March 15th to 17th, where they had 3 Super Hoop games in their stand and 2 more pinballs in a partner stand. One of their distributors also had a pinball at an expo in Dubai, which was at the end of March. And they also presented 2 Super Hoop games at the Enada Rimini in Italy.
That's the big trade show that's held twice a year in Italy.
Yes, where it was at the stand of their Italian distributors. So the good news is that apparently Bitronic already has a number of distributors for their games.
Yeah, and they're very busy in promoting that as well, which is great.
Yeah, and obviously Bitronic is also doing dart games and so on, so it's not surprising that they have distributors. So hopefully the game will catch on. And in March, Bitronic also delivered their first game, and since then they have been sending out pinballs since then. And Antonio also pointed me to his Instagram account where he's posting regular updates regularly. So what I could see is a whole of, I suppose, Bitronic with quite a few Bitronic Superhoop games set up there. So there's quite a few games coming and about to be boxed up and shipped out, I suppose.
Oh, great. Let's hope it's a big success for them. Then they can move on to some other titles as well.
Yeah, I'm very curious if Antonio's already working on a new design for them.
I wouldn't be at all surprised. I thought I'd heard that they were doing another design, but I wasn't sure whether Antonio was involved in that.
I'm not sure.
We will see in the future. But congratulations to them anyway on shipping that game out, and hope the lucky buyers are very pleased with it.
Okay, I sense that you're sort of in a rush to get this boring month over.
Well, we haven't really got much more to say about that, so let's move on to our second headline then, which does take us firmly back over to the United States and to the Chicagoland area and American Pinball, where they have David Fix announced this past week that Ryan McQuaid has been appointed as game designer.
And that might not be a very familiar name, let's be honest. It's not like they hired Steve Ritchie.
No, but Ryan's... you may have heard of the game that Ryan's been working on. You may have seen it as well, or you may even have played it. He created the Sonic the Hedgehog Spinball homebrew game. Which
yes, I've seen pictures. I haven't played it. I have seen pictures, and that is indeed an impressive-looking game.
It is. It was at Pintastic when I was there, and I had a good look at it. While it was, didn't actually get a chance to play it because naturally it was very popular with everybody, and it's pretty hard to get on a game without spending some time queuing. And that's a busy show for me, as it is for many other people. So I didn't have the time to, but I did get some pictures of it anyway. And it was very well received and won the Popular Choice Award, I think, at that show. From the public vote. Right.
Now, so while Ryan designed this Sonic the Hedgehog pinball machine, we don't know whether that is actually going to be a future title for Spooky Pinball or whether they are going to retheme... American Pinball, my bad. Or whether they are retheming that design into something else. Which might very well be the case, or maybe they just make a deal with Sega.
Yeah, that would be the best way to go, given how heavily themed it is on Sonic the Hedgehog. But they certainly had the game in the American Pinball Factory and took pictures of it as part of their announcement with Ryan with the game. So obviously the company were looking at it, and it would make sense if they were looking to see how they can make it a producible game.
Probably, yeah. And they also took it to the Midwest Gaming Classic Show, which was the past weekend.
It was indeed, yes. They were there with Legends of Valhalla, Hot Wheels, and Houdini. I don't think they had any Oktoberfest games there, though. Which
well, it's not October, so that makes sense.
No, true. But it does kind of mirror what they had at the Texas show. I don't think they had any Oktoberfest games there either.
But they probably sold them.
Well, yeah, it could well be. But... maybe it's time to be making some more.
Well, apparently that's actually the case. From what my sources are telling me, Oktoberfest will be in production early summer, as in April, May. Late summer, Houdini will be back into production, and Hot Wheels in the late fall of this year.
Oh, right, okay. So obviously more Oktoberfest games coming, well, about now. Then I would guess it's late April and early May. That's now.
Yeah, that is now. So, and of course they are also. I suppose they are still building Legend of Valhalla.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, and well, it's sort of exciting news. Dennis Nordman mentioned on his Facebook that his game is expected to be in production in October.
Right. Okay. I'm surprised it's going to take that long, but. I guess if they're producing Oktoberfest, Houdini, and Hot Wheels all the way through until then, maybe they aren't in the business of setting up multiple production lines, or at least two lines, which is what we've spoken about before on this PINcast, and spoken to David Fix about.
Well,
So
Legends of Valhalla might also still be in production, so that could be on
that's
one
true.
line,
That's a
and
good
then
point.
the other games, the rerun, so to speak, on the second line.
Yep, I honestly thought Genesis game would be a bit earlier than October, but as we've seen from plenty of other companies, there are delays in sourcing parts and indeed in sourcing employees to build games. So maybe
Well, they
that's
just added
their
Ryan.
timeline.
I'm not saying that Ryan is going to be building games, but
No. No, I mean in a way that because they are building or they are doing another game with Riot Pinball, so that's Scott and Frank. So that's in the pipeline as well. And if they were going to be doing a Ryan game, and
they also have the last Barry Osler game.
Well,
also
that's what I was about to say. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, they've got Barry's game, which is going to be developed and taken into production too. So they got a good pipeline of games there. I'm sure everybody is waiting for supply lines to improve, and so they can get on and start announcing some new titles. Because one of the things that we haven't got this month, I think it's fair to say, are any new titles.
No, don't think so. No.
Okay, but don't switch off yet, because there is plenty to go.
There is other news. As boring as it is, it is still news.
No, it's not boring. It's just it's not headline grabbing necessarily. But
well. Speaking of thank you for the bridge, I suppose. Speaking of new titles, I think right. Actually, we're still waiting for a title that everybody already knows is coming. But it hasn't been announced yet, and that's the next Jersey Jack pinball game. But we're getting the feeling we're getting closer and closer and closer.
Well, we'd have to be really, because can't keep making Guns N' Roses games forever.
No, and
but we have heard that there are no more, or people are being told they can't visit the factory, the JJP factory anymore. People who would normally be welcome to come and have a look around, they seem to have cancelled all factory tours. So maybe that means they're making the next game now, so that when they announce it, they've got a large number of units ready or already with distributors. That's one theory, unconfirmed. Interestingly, RB Flip France did do a video tour of the Jersey Jack Pinball factory.
They were probably the last ones.
Yeah, I think so, yeah, which was only about a week ago. And, they're obviously making Guns N' Roses at that point.
I think it was around April 18th or so that they were there. So.
Oh, did that long ago? Okay. Yeah. Right, yes. So Guns N' Roses on the line there. I don't think you would see any hints as to what else might be coming up. It was quite heavily edited, that video, I think. With lots of cuts, jump cuts around it as well to make it sort of pacey. Mm-hmm. So interesting if you've never been to the Jersey Jack Pinball Factory, or indeed you've never seen around a pinball factory at all, to see how they're making Guns N' Roses. They didn't seem to be hugely busy, but they did seem to have an awful lot of games in boxes waiting to go out. So
right.
So that was a good sign. Anyway, they've got the games made and are still building them.
Yeah, and there's a second clue, which is purely speculative from my end.
Oh, good, we like those.
Yeah, Jean-Paul de Win, who is the LCD animator for Jersey Jack Pinball, or motion graphics designer, if you want to call it that. He posts on his Facebook that he is back in the US visiting Jersey Jack Pinball. And I haven't checked with John Paul, so it's like I said, it's pure a hunch on my end. Mm-hmm. But it could be that he's not back yet. And as far as I know, Jean Paul never experienced a game reveal in the US since working for Jersey Jack Pinball. He's started off as a contractor, and I think he still is a contractor. Mm-hmm. But he's been doing that basically since The Wizard of Oz. Every game he's been involved in, art directing the LCD content basically, and designing all that. And I think he's got a team of people that he's working with now.
Yes, I think so. Yeah,
which he's basically supervising. I think it would be nice for Jean-Paul to be part of such a reveal. And so it could be that he's... we don't know why he's in the US. We know that he's visiting JJP, but he could also just be working there, fine-tuning the last bits and pieces of LCD code for the game that we're about to discover.
Yeah, or could be helping out with the promotional material, the flyers, the banners, exactly, that kind of stuff. Yeah, absolutely. And something else I was going to mention. Yes, there's been a big push on social media for Jersey Jack Pinball's online capabilities. They're
there's nothing else to push, I suppose.
Well, with the Scorebit aspect of it, but of course that's still missing for Pirates of the Caribbean, that game. However, there is some good news for Pirates of the Caribbean owners.
Well, if you call that good news.
Well, it's getting some love anyway. Elite Toppers have produced a new Pirates of the Caribbean topper. Not the cheapest one. I know toppers tend to be rather more costly than you think they should be, but this one, I think, is this the most expensive topper? I think it exceeds the cost of the Star Wars one, didn't it, when that came out for Stern game?
I'm not even sure how much that was. I know Elvira was 1,000.
Yeah, I think. Well, anyway, this one costs basically $2,500 US.
What?
Yeah, I think the Star Wars one was 2,000 or 1999 or something like that.
Oh my god!
Yeah, well, it's a licensed thing, isn't it? So it's going to cost. And it's Lucasfilm as well, so Disney now. So yes, it's not going to be cheap. But yes, this one's $2,500, limited to a maximum of 100 units.
Right.
It's currently not available, but I don't know whether it's out of stock or whether it's sold out or whether they're just not able to make any more at the moment. Right. I thought it sold out, to be honest, but if it has, then that's a nice, cool $250,000 in topper.
Yeah, and it probably means that they'll be building those toppers for the rest of the year.
Well, yeah.
In all fairness, I do have to say, it is an impressive-looking topper. And I suppose if you can afford the Pirates of the Caribbean pinball machine, then you might as well be able to afford such a topper.
Yeah, but as I say, that's the only game that I think that hasn't got the score bit and achievements added to it yet, which constantly told is in beta test and will be available shortly. But we've had that for about 6 months, so fingers crossed that owners get some love and get that added to their game, and then you can celebrate by buying yourself an Elite Toppers topper for your game.
Right. So and well, the most exciting JJP news actually we haven't mentioned yet.
Yes, absolutely. What's that?
That's our interview with Steve Ritchie.
Yes, absolutely. I do hope you got to listen to that. We did a special PINcast. Bonus PINcast in the middle of I suppose it was middle of last month, wasn't it? In the middle of April.
Mid-April. So
we had an extensive interview with Steve Ritchie, where he gave us the lowdown on how he came to join Jersey Jack Pinball and left Stern Pinball and much more.
Right.
We won't go into it here because you either have already listened to it or you certainly can at the same place that you're getting this PINcast.
Right. So it's a previous episode, so clearly marked as the interview with Steve Ritchie.
Yeah. Well.
So if you haven't listened to that, then make sure that you listen to it.
It is recommended. Okay. And
we did. I did receive quite a few compliments for the interview.
Yes, same here. Yes. Yeah, we don't want to stop blowing our own trumpet too much. But so moving on with Jersey Jack Pinball, they were at the recent Midwest Gaming Classic show, which was in Milwaukee this past weekend. They were there as part of the Kingpin Games stand, where I think they just had Guns N' Roses there because that's the current title.
Yes.
And I guess they're probably not making any of the older games at the moment. So, Kingpin games were, obviously the Guns N' Roses games are always very popular at any shows they go to. So thanks to Kingpin for bringing them to Midwest Gaming Classic.
Right. So, and of course there is a connection. Kingpin Games is run by the brother of Eric Meunier, who is a designer at Jersey Jack Pinball. So that makes perfect sense.
Great. Okay, moving on then.
Yeah, around the block.
Yep. Okay.
Stern
Pinball. Well, no new game announcements from them, and but they did announce a sort of rough schedule of the games they're going to be producing over the rest of the year.
Yeah, which is actually not officially announced, but I think a sort of a penciled-in timeline, you could call it, was sent out to some distributors.
I think so.
Yeah, so basically we're looking at they're probably doing 2 titles a month. Obviously, earlier on, Stern announced that they're not going to do a new Cornerstone game until August of this year, and in the meantime, they'll be trying to fill backlog orders for different games. And so for last month, we know that Avengers was on the line, and apparently Rush. For this month, May, Deadpool and Godzilla are scheduled. Also Mandalorian. For June, Mandalorian, Rush, and Jurassic Park. July, Godzilla again. And August says Star Wars with the original art package, as well as the new Cornerstone game. September is still also Star Wars. November, Jurassic Park, The Pin. And then for November, a new run of Elvira Premiums. And December we'll see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles taken into production, along with, I suppose, the new Cornerstone game, which one might expect Stern will be making for a couple of months at least.
Yes, you think so. They would probably want to get that in for the run-up to the holiday season.
Right, and all of this, of course, depends on the availability of parts. And, this backlog wouldn't be so big even if these supply chain issues wouldn't be that big in the first place.
True. Well, as you said, Rush makes a couple of appearances on that. Rush is their current title. So, not unsurprisingly, there's been some new code for that game, which actually been quite impressive with what they've added to it this time around in version 0.93.
Right.
Which introduces a whole lot more rules, including a new clock bonus feature and the Voyage Wizard mode. And there's as with most of the Wizard modes on Stern games, you also get a sort of a mini challenge game, which is called the Voyage Challenge on this, which you can select from the start menu. So you can just basically go in and play a version of the Wizard mode as a game in itself.
Right.
So that's been added. There's quite a few tweaks to how the rules work. Obviously, improvements to lighting effects, and lots more achievements for the Insider Connected players. And if you do use the Insider Connected, there is apparently some secret feature. Oh. But it's so secret we don't know what it is, and we couldn't even spoil it for you if we wanted to.
Stern was able to keep.
Ooh, yes, okay, very good. Well, it's been quite good at keeping what the next title is until it's officially announced. Anyway,
everybody is rumoring that's going to be Venom.
Yes, that's right. Yes, I think that's a
rumored Brian Eddy design, if I'm not mistaken. But it could also be John Borg or.
I'd heard Jack Danger actually. But
that would seem awfully quick after Jurassic Park The Pin.
Well, that's been and gone. You know, it's a rapid turnaround these days at Stern. You know, more and more titles. Anyway, we'll see exactly what that is. They are quite good at keeping it, at least who's doing it, even if they're not that good at the titles.
Right.
Okay.
So, anyway. So, and you also had some news about Stern attending the 2022 Craft Brewers Conference in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Yeah, they're basically now.
Right now.
At the moment, well, maybe not at this precise moment, but certainly from the 2nd to the 5th of May, they are at the Craft Brewers Conference in Minneapolis, as you just said, where they're on booth 3839 if you are attending. They are represented. They haven't got Gary or George or any of the usual ones there. They've got Eric
they're sitting in the heavy drinkers.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, the ones who know their beer rather than the ones who pretend they know their beer. Tyler Carson, Evan Kirby, and Pat Powers is there as well. According to Stern, there's no better combination than pinball and beer.
With the president that only drinks vodka.
Yes, well, ignoring that.
Well, not only, but...
No, most. Okay, well, so they will be showcasing their Insider Connect system across the games Rush and Godzilla and The Mandalorian and Avengers Infinity Quest. So they're going to have those 4 machines set up. And obviously, pinball and beer and brewers and bars are a very popular combination. And
well, Stern, even they have the brewery of the month every month on their Facebook. Yeah. So I'm sure they like their beers at Stern, and it's interesting to see that so many breweries actually have a connection with Stern Pinball or pinball in general. So.
Yes, and at Pinball Expo, when they do the event, they often hold in conjunction with Logan Arcade. They often have free beer at that as well for those who are able to attend.
Right.
Okay, so we mentioned MGC earlier, and when we talk about JJP, but obviously Stern were heavily represented there, thanks to Marco Specialties and again Kingpin Games, where they had a big display of Rush and Godzilla games. And as often the case at these major shows, they were running a special Insider Connected leaderboard system just for that one event. Now, that's something which, if you speak to them, they say, yes, it will be available for locations to set up their own bespoke tournament and leaderboard systems as part of the Insider Connected system soon. But it's been soon for a while, but it's not actually available yet for them. But maybe it will be, and there seem to be a lot of locations saying, we want this, we want to be able to run our own leaderboards at our own location. So that will be a good push for Insider Connected if they can roll that out.
Right, yeah. So, and we earlier mentioned RB Flip France, from France, visiting Jersey Jack Pinball, but they also went around the block and visited Stern Pinball. So there's also a video available from their Stern factory tour, if you're interested in that. Yes,
obviously doing a tour of the pinball factories and shooting some video. So go and see what they're making.
Right. Okay. So I suppose we're moving on to our third headline now.
Yeah. So we moved down to Australia and Haggis Pinball, who have, up until very recently, been very, very quiet about production of their Fathom Revisited game.
Yeah, right. We know that they finished the production of Celt and that they were starting to get ready to take Fathom into production and in which order they would build the games. This month, not even that long ago, I think a week ago or so, we got a video with no words, just showing 8 games set up in a, I suppose you could call it a manufacturing area. Yeah, workshops. Yeah. 8 Fathom, or at least cabinets, were set up, and we got a look inside the game. I have to say they look very, very, very nice.
Yeah, there's a lot in there. Yes, I was surprised to see there were 2 subwoofers in there. All the electronics seem to be in the base of the cabinet rather than in the back box. So, which obviously can be a problem if screws or anything or metal parts fall off the playfield. Not that you would expect that on a new game, but vibrations happen. It's the nature of the game. So they did have some pretty hefty plastic sheets or plastic panels covering all the electronics, which we've seen before. But hopefully these days, without any incandescent lamps and lower current draw and power usage, it won't get too hot in the base of those cabinets, which is always the problem with putting well, one of the other problems with putting electronics in the base of the cabinet is there's not much in the way of airflow.
Right.
But as I say, these days, low power consumption, less heat, so hopefully not a problem.
Right. So, and apparently the Mermaid games also have a floor projecting light show. So, which probably means that they have LEDs on the underside of the cabinet.
Yeah, it's nice effect. So it's like a sort of disco light type thing.
Ooh, disco.
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah, we should certainly have some good sound to it anyway, with that sound system that's in the game and the powerful amplifier.
Right. Okay. So that was the only news for Hackers Pinball this month. We didn't see any games actually in production. We just saw 8 games.
We saw one being boxed up, I think.
Yeah. So
yeah.
But it's for a lot of people enough to know that hackers are working on fulfilling their orders. So good news there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Congratulations if you've got an order in for one of those games. It looks like things are happening at Haggis to actually get those games made. So good. So moving on. If Haggis are successful in making games, let's move to a company that wasn't. With the ongoing saga, which is pretty much drawing to a close these days, of Deep Root Pinball. There isn't a huge amount more to be said because there's not an awful lot left of the company.
No, well, most of the assets were sold, I suppose.
Yes, that's right.
But there are still court hearings and what have you. You know all about it, so take it
away.
away.
I've been keeping an eye on it. It's pretty dull stuff, so I won't spend too much time on it. Just to mention that probably the biggest asset of the Deep Root group of companies were those life insurance policies, which were bought by Policy Services, I think, which was the name of the company which bought them. And there was meant to be a lot more of them bought, but I think there were about $10 million worth bought in the end, and they've now been sold at a reduced price, obviously, as part of the liquidation of assets to a company called Tuyo, which wouldn't be interesting in the least, except that TU is short for Turner, and Turner is, for those who following this, Turner Logic were the company who ran the IT systems for Robert Mueller's companies, and were developing the software for the pinball games as well. So he was the one who was, or his company was the one who was doing all the bookkeeping for the Deep Root companies. So it's a good position.
Interesting, because apparently it turns out to be a lack of bookkeeping.
Yeah, there seems to be not much in the way of records around, but I can see that company would be in a good position to know what was paid for the policies in the first place and what their book value might be. Anyway, they are now in the life insurance business, having bought those policies. So there you go. It's that's probably, as I say, the most valuable part of the assets that were outstanding from the company, and everything else has pretty much been sold off. Now we just wait for the bankruptcy and any possible criminal prosecutions to go through the courts.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's enough.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what to add anyway.
Well, yeah. I have to be very careful what we say anyway. Okay, but so there's nothing more to say there. There's also, I don't think there's anything much more to say from our friend Mike Kalinowski and Homepin in Taiwan.
Right. No, actually, very little news. I think he shared a post about building some stand-up targets, which is not very exciting, although if you need them, I suppose. I did text him before we started recording this, and he has seen my message, but he hasn't responded yet. So in case he gets back to me during this recording, then we will still add it to our show.
Okay, well, if we haven't got any news from him, let's shall we try and call up our trusted advisor who might be able to give us some news from the pinball world.
Well, that's I'm assuming that you're referring to our good friend Gary Flower.
Of course, yes.
Often tries to get onto our show, but is
we tried to get him on as well.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, so far we haven't been that lucky to get him actually on.
Well, we do know that Gary's just been at the Midwest Gaming Classic, so he must have picked up, must have spoken to an awful lot of people there and picked up a lot of news about what's been going on in the business, and might have some insider tips on what's coming up.
Right. Okay. So, I suppose we.
Do you want to call him up?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Let's give him a call then. See what happens.
I'm calling him right now. That doesn't sound too good. Gary, are you there? Gary?
Oh, dear. Yeah.
I think he hung up.
Oh, dear. Sure it was the right number or the right contact?
I didn't look at the number. I looked at the name. It's a modern phone, you know.
Oh, really? Oh, I don't know. I just remember all the numbers. Okay. Well, we'll try and get back to... Oh, hang on. I've just got a text message come through from Gary. He says... Been at the show, lost my voice, can't talk. See you next month. Oh. Okay. Obviously can't text very much either.
I suppose that explains what we just witnessed.
Oh, okay. Well, get well soon, Gary, and we'll hope to hear from you in next month's PINcast.
Yeah. I'm sure he has plenty of great news, and it will still be worth mentioning next month.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, moving on. Let's move on. We mentioned about events in Spain, so let's go back to Europe and talk about what's been going on with Pedretti Gaming.
Oh, I was going to say Pinball Brothers because there's no news there.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll skip them then and go on to
Pedretti Gaming.
Yeah,
what a good idea.
There is some news there.
Yeah. They released an alternative translate for the Funhouse 2.0 Rudy's Nightmare upgrade kit, which costs €120 plus VAT, and that translite, which is printed on 3mm thick acrylic, is limited to 200 units.
Okay.
So basically you can choose which translite you prefer in your package, although I'm not sure whether there is the option to actually choose between the two if you decide to buy the kit now. It's still artwork by the same artist that did the original back glass for the Rudy's Nightmare game. So it's not by the original artist, John Yowsey, which would be nice, I suppose. But then again, we don't know whether John would even be interested in doing something like that.
No. So anyway, if you were or have the 2.0 Rudy's Nightmare Funhouse game, and wanted an alternate translate, there you are. You have the choice now of buying that one if you want, as you say, limited to 200. And I guess you don't need to have the game. You might just like the artwork.
Right. So.
Okay.
And if you're curious what it looks like, there will be an image in the Pinball Magazine newsletter, which will be sent out a couple of days after the recording of this show.
Sounds good. Okay, so
well, we mentioned Midwest Gaming Classic, which is obviously is in Wisconsin, which is the home state of Spooky Pinball.
And of course, they were there.
Of course, they were there. Quite a big stand, actually. They brought 4 games: 2 Halloweens and 2 Ultraman games, and a very big merchandise stand.
Yeah, they do have a good range of spooky merchandise. So. It's always a good place to buy it and try it first before you buy at the shows. They are busy cranking out those games. Apparently producing around about 40 games a week.
Yes, which is I'd say for a company that size, pretty impressive.
I think it is. I think it's impressive for any company, to be honest.
Right. Yeah. So and that's about all the news there is for Spooky Pinball for the moment. So.
Yeah. Although I have to say those games, from what I saw, those games were very popular. throughout the entire weekend. There seemed to be a big line of people waiting to play them.
Yeah, it's interesting to say. I attended the Flip Expo in France.
I was going to come to that. Yes.
Yeah, I know. And the link to Spooky is that there was an Ultraman game present, so I got the chance to play one more game. But I did a lot better on that game than I did in at the Texas show. There was a lot of interest for that game, and apparently the person who brought it is a distributor for France or something. There was a friend of mine was also there who was interested in it. So I was making very hard attempts to trying to sell that game to him. So that was rather interesting and amusing to watch.
Good. So yeah, it's good to know that they are available in Europe if you are interested in buying one.
Yeah. So still not in the large quantities that they are available in the US, but still, we are getting more and more, I suppose.
Yeah. Good. Okay, moving on to Chicago Gaming. No new games announced from them, but they were represented at the recent Pinbrew show, which is I think it's in Ohio, if I remember correctly. And CoinTaker had a stand there with both the standard edition and the limited edition of the Cactus Canyon remake, which is their current title. And Chicago Gaming's Butch Peel was also there on hand to answer any questions about it and obviously provide technical support where it needed. I'm sure it wasn't.
It's a smart idea to send Butch there.
Yeah, he can. He's a good salesman and also a good technician, and I'm sure he's a good representative for Chicago Gaming and for the Cactus Canyon remake.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yes. So, and speaking of CoinTaker, they're not only distributors for Chicago Gaming, but also for Dutch Pinball.
Indeed, yep, for the Big Lebowski.
So there's another bridge.
Yep, because you and I are both going to a little soiree that Dutch Pinball are hosting later this month, aren't we?
Yes, we are, yes. We already mentioned it last month. Dutch Pinball will be hosting their housewarming for the factory that they are already using for, I suppose, a year or probably a year and a half now. But due to COVID, they never got the chance to officially do an official opening or whatever you want to call it. And so they're doing that at the 27th this month. And apparently, here's the link to CoinTaker. Chris and Melissa of CoinTaker have both been invited to come over, and when I talked to them at Texas, they were very interested in doing so. It wouldn't be the first time for them to visit the Netherlands, and hopefully they were able to get plane tickets at a reasonable price, I should say.
Yes.
And we will get to see them later this month.
Yes, and we'll have details of how that went in our next PINcast at the start of June.
Right, yeah, actually, we could record our PINcast actually at the event.
Ooh, there's a thought. Yes, as long as it's not too noisy. Yeah.
Yeah. So and just as a warm up teaser, so I asked Barry like what the program is. So he said, well, you can they're open at 2, but you can also come in at 5. There will be a barbecue. There will be music, and he suggested to book a hotel.
Yep, already done. Yeah. Good. So we'll give you more details of that, as I say, next month's PINcast. So moving back to the US, and
we're really crossing the
we
pond.
We're flip-flopping backwards and forwards more frequently than either of us, or yes, almost like American Airlines. So Multimorphic, anyway, in Texas, going back to Texas, we were just talking about, and well, there's a few items of news from them. First of all, they have some job opportunities. If you are a woodworker / CNC operator or a pinball assembler.
Well, nobody is a pinball assembler. They need to train you for that.
Well, you say that. There may be some pinball assemblers from other companies who fancy jumping ship and jolly multi-morphic.
Yes.
So those two positions may well still be available at their Round Rock location in Texas, just near Austin. And there's some other news as well about we talked about supply line delays, and what else have Multimorphic been saying about that?
Well, what I have been saying mostly is obviously last month was the Texas Pinball Festival, which was a big success, and the Weird Al game is so popular that currently it takes about 13 months before a new game can be delivered. That partly has to do with supply chain issues, but also due to the big demand and the time that they need to build the games.
This is for the whole base unit.
And what they're also doing is they're working with two production lines. One is only building the kits for the games, and one is building actually the complete games. So if you're already a customer and you already have a machine and you're just ordering the kit, you don't have to wait in line for machines to be built. So they speed up that process, which is a good thing, I suppose.
Yeah, especially if you're buying a game with a kit, because then they could be built in parallel.
Right.
Okay, and they're also one of the things that they recently announced that we covered here was the upgrade they made to their flippers, which was something that needs to be supported in the software, and they have gone back and added that feature to some of their earlier titles.
Yeah, but they also need to send in some hardware, I suppose.
Yes, indeed.
And they have been picking and chopping all outstanding flipper upgrade orders. So if you ordered such a flipper upgrade kit, then you probably received it by now. So
and of course, all new machines will have it included as standard.
Yes, and I suppose that's all the multimorphic news for now. But they're already working on the next game coming after Weird Al. But obviously, since Weird Al is so popular, I suppose that gives them some time to develop that game.
Yes, not much point bringing out another new game if it's going to take 6 months before they can actually get any of the kits out. But we're talking just now about support for the new flipper upgrade kits. Well, there's a new version of Ranger in the Ruins as well. If you have that game on your P3, you can download version 2.0.0.2, which primarily adds support for the new flipper upgrade kit, but also does a couple of other things, and so you can download that either over Wi-Fi or over a USB stick if you want to do it that way.
Right, excellent. So moving up to, I suppose it's Canada, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, Vancouver area. Yep.
Yeah, Pinball Adventures.
Yeah, well, as we know, the Punny Factory, their first title, which still hasn't actually gone into production yet. They have been showing more pictures of, 6 cabinets and back boxes with various plastics and various playfield artwork snippets have been featured on their Instagram feed. Still no details of when or where the game will be available, though. So just keep waiting. It looks like they're slow progress, but they are progressing. So I suppose that's good news.
Right.
I don't know if you've got any more news from.
Yes, I do.
From the company.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Well, I first of all, I noticed, and I'm not sure whether you did, the company website used to be pinballbuzz.com.
Yes, that's right.
And that has been moved now to pinballadventures.com.
Okay.
So the entire website is now available on pinballadventures.com, and the pinballbuzz.com website doesn't even exist anymore.
Well, it hasn't existed for a long time. We commented on that when it first disappeared.
It disappeared, and it was back up, and now it moved to pinballadventures.com. So, I have been texting with Andrew McBain, the owner of the company. I'm not sure whether he reached out to you, but he pointed me to an upcoming page that will be announced, or we can actually announce it, but probably next month. He asked me not to announce it this month, where actually the building process for Punny Factory can be followed. So if you have a game on order, or you know which game you have, then you can see how much of that game is already completed. We will share that link with you next month.
Wow, that's an interesting and a novel idea. Yeah.
Yeah. On the other hand, I was wondering, okay, I'm not sure how much time it takes to build such a page, but shouldn't you be building games?
I'm sure it can be done by somebody else.
True.
Somebody in charge of the website. It won't be the same person. Hopefully, it won't be the same person who's building games.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense, I suppose.
Yes. So apparently, there's some more information about exactly how the game is coming along.
Janos of Team Pinball is finishing up the code this week. And they are also still waiting for some metal parts, which we should be done and powder coated. And once that's done, then they can move along. I have been promised a gameplay video, which should be sent after that. Sorry about that.
But no information about the cost of the game yet.
No, which apparently is a difficult issue at the moment, as prices for parts keep changing due to the shipping going up and down, and the supply chain issues. So that makes it a little bit difficult. But as soon as there is a price to report, and of course you'll be the first to hear it here. Or you won't be the first, but
we'll be one of the first. Yes. Okay. One other company that we mentioned about before, who have been very low key and almost invisible in their production plans, is Circus Maximus.
Right.
And
yes.
Apparently, there's some news from them.
Yes. Apparently, they are planning to provide their production plans at the upcoming Southern Fried Gaming Expo, which takes place in Atlanta, which is sort of like their hometown.
Yep.
Takes place from July 15th through the 19th. Still a show that I would like to go to at some point.
Yeah,
I'm not sure whether I can make it this year. But since it's their hometown show, I suppose, we can expect news from Circus Maximus over there.
Well, production plans, whether that's going to be a timescale, is going to be, we're not going to be producing anything. That would be a plan as well. But that's presumably for Kingpin and not to do with Python's Pinball Circus game.
That's what I'm expecting, yes.
Yeah.
I still have to see whether we ever get to that Python's Pinball Circus game.
Yeah, well, we did comment last month about their absence from the Texas show,
right?
Where they've been quite prominent exhibitors before. So maybe they're just keeping things more local now.
Maybe they are. Yeah. Oh well, we'll just wait and see. It's a couple of more months, and then we can report on that as well.
Yep, good. Okay, other news then. Now let's first of all, you mentioned earlier about you went to the Flip Expo show in Le Tréport in France.
Yes.
Anything to report from that?
Well, it was. I think it was one of the very well attended show. The location was the same. New organization in the sense of a new chairman and new volunteers but a very popular with locals and people attending, I don't think I've ever seen the line at the Saturday morning before opening that long. The number of games was up compared to previous years. I'm not saying that the previous people who organized it didn't do a good job, but this time the number of games was up, number of attendees was up. I think the number of vendors was slightly down, which is a pity. But overall, I think it was a very good show. And I have to compliment the new organizers on their effort. I plan to write a report which should be up on pinball-magazine.com soon, but I've been very, very busy, so I haven't gotten around to writing it.
Okay. Well, I'm sure it'll be great when you do. And it's one of those shows which I'm always incredibly impressed by how cheap it is to actually get into the show.
Yes.
It's €5.
€5 entrance for one day, and also the food and beverage are very, very reasonably priced.
Yes, so, I remember that.
We're talking
like
€2. Let's say $2 for a can of soft drink. Crepes. Pancakes, French pancakes, basically, €1.50.
Yeah,
which is hot dogs. I think were three euros, and then you get a French baguette with a hot dog the size of your underarm. So yeah, it's
very, very, very impressive show, and I missed going this year.
You were missed. Trust me, you were missed.
That's very kind, but hope to get back next time, because it's not only it's a great show, it's also a lovely town and area there on the coast.
Yes, and the very interesting thing about this show, which I also told my girlfriend who came along for the very first time, it really is a family show. This is a show where you see mom, dad, their kids, and their parents. So grandma, grandpa coming along as well. And it's really funny to see 80-year-old grandmas playing pinball and still trying to shake the game. And that's just, it's fun.
Good. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. It just made me very jealous that I wasn't there. But
you go to shows that I wish I could go to.
Well, maybe. But, so one of the good things about I've always thought about certainly French shows is they have a sort of very relaxed and mature attitude to having a drink or a beer or a Pernod or whatever it is you're carrying around in there. So on that theme, it was interesting to see that Ale Industries of Oakland in California. They not a million miles away from a well-known pinball museum, actually, in Alameda. They are producing a pinball-themed beer called Degenerate Pinheads. I'm sure we can all think of a few of those. But Degenerate Pinheads IPA Series 1 is here, which is a light-bodied West Coast IPA, apparently, with dry hopped with Sabra Mosaic hops. And it's done in collaboration with the Flipper Room and features 9 designs of different degenerate pinheads. So the idea is you collect all 9 of the cans and get all the characters. But they look very attractive designs, and whether the beer's any good or not, I don't know. But it's a West Coast IPA, so it can't be that bad. If that's your drink of choice.
So the designs are different, but are the
beers are the same? I think the beers.
Okay.
Yeah, they basically come in one of 9 random designs, and with each 4-pack that you buy, you get 4 different designs.
Right. Okay. Well, that's very interesting, I suppose. I suppose it will be difficult to collect them all in Europe, but.
Well, I don't know. There may appear over here not a ale industry is not a brewer I'm familiar with over here, so maybe it's just a US-based distribution of those. But
or maybe you can order online.
Yeah, okay. So we have some news. I mean, when we were in Texas, I was talking to Randy of Color DMD, and he was telling me a little about this. But you have a little more detail on some of the issues that Color DMD is facing.
Well, the issue is supply chain issues, and I spoke to Randy as well, and he was already foreseeing that they would be forced to basically stop production because they can't get the parts that they need to make their displays, which is a very sad thing because it basically is hurting their business. And Color DMD, which I suppose was Randy, who is the main man, I suppose, send out a message that production has been impacted by the global chip supply shortage over the past several months. LCD displays are currently sold out. LED displays are in short supply, but a limited number can still be found under the Sigma product heading of the Color DMD website. Once they are able to resume production, they will send out a back-in-stock notification to their mailing lists, to which anybody can subscribe on the Color DMD website.
Okay, well, good luck to them in getting some more panels through, because that's always a very popular purchase for any home collector or buyer of an LED flash LCD or DMD type game. Anyway,
right, yeah. So, okay. I suppose there's one last item to discuss, which is an interview that Christopher Frenchy of the Super Awesome Pinball show did with Lyman Sheets, which he has recently made available.
Yes, I think it's the last interview that Lyman did before his untimely death, and I think it was suitably respectful to allow the certain passage of time to take place after Lyman passed, before publishing this Super Awesome Pinball show recording. So it's certainly worth listening to, I would say. Very talented guy, and has a lot to say.
Host of a podcast as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Very, very well put together show. Yeah.
Right. So, and I suppose that that rounds it up for our summary of April 2022.
I think it does. Hopefully, it wasn't too boring, and despite there being no big announcements of new games, there was, as you've heard, still plenty going on, and hope you got learned some new information.
Right. Okay. So we'll be back at the beginning of June with our monthly recap of the previous month, which will be May 22. Until then, happy flipping, and until next time.
Yes, we look forward to that. We'll see you then. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.